Hi, I'm Brooke and this is Maya. We love hiking, camping, kayaking, and everything outdoors. I recently quit my job on the East Coast in pursuit of exploring some of the most beautiful places in America. Come along on today's adventure, and before you leave, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hello and welcome to another video of Unwind Outdoors. In this video, I'm going to talk about my rooftop tent setup for camping. You might have seen I've released another video where I talk about my setup for sleeping inside the car. Typically I do that when I'm on my own and I want that security of being able to lock the door at night. When I have somebody else with me, or in many cases somebody else and my dog, I like to have a little extra room, and that's where the rooftop tent comes into play. If you want to check out my other video on sleeping inside the car and the build out that I did for the platform, I'll link that in the description below. There is a long list of reasons that I love the rooftop tent, but I narrowed it down to my top 6. Coming in at number 6 is the storage. Having the rooftop tent on top of your car on the roof racks saves that extra cargo space inside your car for your gear. Next on the list is the floor that comes with a rooftop tent. So when you're sleeping in a ground tent, the terrain might be uneven, there might be rocks, branches, things that might make your sleeping uncomfortable. Whereas with the rooftop tent, it has that hard, solid floor, and you don't have to worry about any of that. Number 4 also kind of goes along with this, and it comes with a mattress in the tent. Now it's just a 2-inch mattress, so I did actually end up buying a 2-inch memory foam topper to put on top, but both of those stay right in the tent. I don't have to take them out. I don't have to deal with that every single time I put it up and down. It folds up in the tent, it stays there, and it is so much better for the quality of sleep. Another pro, coming in at number 3, is the quality of the canvas the tent itself is made out of. It's much more durable and rugged than a regular ground tent that you find. This means that it keeps the wind out better, and it also keeps the warmth inside. I've slept in this tent in 30-degree weather and I didn't have any issues. I didn't even use like a 20-degree sleeping bag. I just had a comforter and another blanket on top, and the tent kept me nice and toasty. While we're talking about quality of the tent, one of the great things about the rooftop tent is that it comes with thick metal poles. The normal ground tents that you see, they usually have fiberglass poles, and if there's any wind, the whole tent will blow over, those poles will snap. I don't know how many times growing up we had tents that snapped their poles in the middle of a trip and we would just try to duct tape them to get through the weekend. So it's a great plus that the rooftop tent has thick metal poles that aren't going to break, they're not going to bend, and they're super durable. And then at number 1, the best feature of this tent is how easy it is to set up and tear down. One of the main things I hated about ground tents was trying to fit it back into its bag in the morning. In the mornings, the ground was always wet, and tent sites are usually just dirt, so you get filthy rolling it up and it would never fit back into the package. The rooftop tent is great in that it's super simple tear down, it's super easy to get the cover back on, you just have to zip it back up and it's good to go. I'll insert a clip of teardown with a little timer so you can see about how long it takes. The first step in tearing down the tent is taking out these poles that hold up the rainfly flaps. If it's not going to rain and you want setup and tear down to go quicker, you can definitely skip this step. I have before and the tent's just fine without it. It's just one of those things that you don't want to skip if it's going to rain. As you can see, this is the most time-consuming part. Once you get all the stakes, there is a little baggie that they go in. I was struggling to find it here for a minute. But once you find it, all of those stakes go inside, and then that just goes inside the tent. It stays right in the tent so you don't lose them. Once you've done that, the next step is to take down this pouch. This pouch is for you to climb up the ladder, take your shoes off, and then you set your shoes in the pouch so your shoes don't get inside of the tent dirty. After that, you are ready to start collapsing the ladder, and you push the tent to fold over onto itself. After you fold it closed, there is a lot of material that hangs out. So once you get to this, you want to tuck in that material in between the flaps. It just makes it easier for when you go to zip on the cover. So that's what you see me doing here. I'm just taking that extra fabric and tucking it in between the two flaps. The last thing you have to do before throwing on the cover, there are 4 Velcro straps on each corner. This just keeps the tent closed nice and tight. Then once you have done that, the last thing is to throw the cover over the top. It fits on nice and snug, and then there's just a zipper that goes around the whole thing to keep it on. As you can see, it's a relatively simple and quick process, taking about 5 minutes. Now moving on to the things I don't like about the rooftop tent. The list of pros was really lengthy, but for cons there's only 2 things we could come up with. So at number 2, the second thing I don't like about the rooftop tent is trying to get it on and off the car. Now I don't do this often, typically because it is difficult, but it weighs a little over 100 pounds. It's definitely a 2-person job, and the bolts are really long, so it takes a while just to get those screwed on and get it all secure. So the number 1 on my cons list is that you have to tear down and put the tent completely away every time you want to move the car. Whereas with a ground tent, you can just leave the tent at your campsite, go do whatever you want for the day and come back to it. The rooftop tent you do have to tear down every single time. The last thing I want to mention about the rooftop tent that I didn't necessarily fall into the pros or the cons category is the height of it. So it is on top of the car, so it's about 6 feet off the ground. And this is great for giving me that sense of security when I'm, maybe in grizzly territory, and it just makes me feel more comfortable. It might be a false sense of security because we all know a grizzly bear can get up onto the top of a car, but it does help me sleep better at night knowing that I do have, a little height off of the ground. However, on the flip side, it makes it more difficult to get pets into the tent with you. So I have a 70-pound lab, and she obviously cannot climb the ladder. So it's very difficult to kind of carry her, pick her up, and climb the ladder with her in my arms. So that's just something to consider if maybe you're interested in getting a rooftop tent yourself. Overall, I absolutely love the rooftop tent. It gets me out, it gets me to my adventures, and there's so many more pros than there are cons to the rooftop tent, at least in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a few things about a rooftop tent. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!